What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's hard to believe it, but it's already the holiday season and it's time to get you guys ready with some of these holiday recipes. There's no better place to start than with dressing. Today I'm going to show you not one but two different ways to make it. Meet me in the kitchen. Let's make it happen.
That's great seafood flavor.
Yeah. And a little bite with the veggies.
It's a complete bite though. Seasoned seafood, stuffing, dressing.
We're getting the party started with a homemade seafood stock today. For that, you're going to need a mirepoix, which is onions, celery, carrots, some fresh herbs, tomato paste, and this is a great time to use your seafood shells. So if you ever have a crab boil or a seafood boil, save those shells, save your fish heads, your shrimp shells, all that good stuff. We're putting all that to good use today. All right, guys, first things first, we need to go ahead and get started on our seafood stock. For that, you need a large stock pot, a tablespoon or so of avocado or olive oil. To that, we're going to go ahead and add all of our shells. If you got some leftover crab shells, add those, shrimp shells, shrimp heads, fish heads, whatever you got. Earlier this week, we had AB from Smoking and Grilling with AB in town. We did a seafood boil recipe along with a fish fry, so I got some fish heads here. Unfortunately, I forgot to save the shells because I was too busy stuffing my face. But we got enough here to make a good stock. We got 3 fish heads, some shrimp shells. That's going to add tons of flavor to this. So you want to get that in there with that oil and just allow that to start releasing its flavor. And then we'll add in our veggies along with some water. Let that reduce. And you're going to have yourself a seafood stock. So if you've been following my channel for any amount of time, you know that I'm a big fan of these better than bouillon bases, right? So you can make stocks from this. You can use it to infuse flavor into soups and stews and things of that nature. The lobster base is kind of hard to find, but it adds incredible seafood flavor. They also have a clam base out there. Today we're going to add a little bit of this to our stock just to amplify the flavor a little bit and cheat. That way you don't have to reduce it down as long. You can concentrate the flavor yourself, but it's going to take all day. So this is a good way to cheat and add a lot of flavor to the party. If you don't feel like doing this whole step, you can actually make the stock with just the base, but it's not quite as, you know, you're not going to have the same authentic flavors as if you make it from scratch. But if you're in a rush, this is a good alternative. I like to do a little bit of both. You get the flavor from the, you know, the homemade stock, and then you get the concentrated flavor from the base. Same thing with chicken stock. They got a bunch of different ways that you can infuse the flavor into that. You can make your own chicken stock from scratch, or you can use this better than bouillon product. Once I've got my base in there, I'm going to go ahead and add in a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. We're going to mix that in and deglaze with some dry white wine, and then fill this pot up with some water and just let it simmer until it reduces by about half. And then we'll have our seafood stock. You can season it to taste or leave it unseasoned. Completely up to you, depending on how much you're going to season, you know, whatever item or recipe you're using the seafood stock in. I tend to not really over season my stock. That way I can have control over the seasoning in the recipe. So now that the seafood stock is working in the background, we're going to go ahead and prep our veggies. We have 2 different preparations today. For the cornbread and sausage stuffing, we're using just onion and celery. And for the seafood stuffing, we're using, and I keep saying stuffing and dressing interchangeably. You guys can complain about it in the comments if you like, but I just grew up saying stuffing. I know that it's technically dressing. We're using the Cajun Trinity for the seafood stuffing or dressing. That's going to be onions, bell pepper, and celery. Real simple prep. You want a nice fine dice on this. You don't want huge chunks of bell pepper or celery in your stuffing. Unless you do, then you can, you know, chop it however you see fit. But for me, I want nice fine dice on my veggies. If you're in the market for a new sharp knife, I have one available for you at MrMakeItHappen.com. It's on sale right now. Use the code STAYSHARP at checkout and get 40% off. So what we have here is 2 pounds of sausage, 1 stick of butter. Every holiday recipe needs a stick of butter, in my opinion. In goes the onion and the celery. I'm going to sweat that down. I'm also going to add some fresh herbs, the kind you cook with, not the kind that cook you. We got a little rosemary and thyme. We got some sage. I love sage in my stuffing. It's delicious. Little pinch of parsley. Going in with a tablespoon of garlic. and a tablespoon of Italian and herb paste. Give that a good mix. Then we'll start to season the taste. Once we get it where we want it, we're gonna go ahead and add in our chicken broth. You can make the chicken broth from scratch if you want to, but I like to just dress it up with a little chicken bouillon powder to add or amplify the flavor. You can also use the Better Than Bouillon product we talked about earlier. Really no right or wrong way to do it, guys. Once you get it in there, just make sure you taste and adjust, the seasoning to your preference. You can make your cornbread from scratch if you want to, or you can buy the Pepperidge Farms. Nice and easy. Save the delicious cornbread that you make for your guests, serve on the side. But if you want to really go the extra mile, you can make that from scratch too. For the seasoning, we're going in with some of my all-purpose. If you don't have this, you can use whatever all-purpose you like, or you can grab this at MrMakeItHappen.com. We're also going in with that chicken bouillon powder that we talked about. We already got the garlic and the Italian paste in there, so this thing is loaded with flavor. You get flavor from the sausage and the fat rendering into that butter. And then, my friends, we're going in with the cornbread. So, I'm going to start to fold this in. I like to mix in a little bit of the cube stuff here as well. Mostly cornbread though. I just think that gives it a little extra body. And it prevents it from being like overly sweet, because sometimes the Pepperidge Farms is a little bit on the sweeter end, which I enjoy, but I don't want it to be overkill, So we got that in there. I'm going to add about a half a bag of this. All the ingredients and measurements and all that good stuff is listed for you at MrMakeItHappen.com as well. And my bag almost split on me. All right, guys, so at this point, you want to mix in 4 cups of chicken broth. You're going to season to taste. You really want to taste this as you go before you add in the eggs. That way you know your flavor is spot on before you can't taste it anymore. All right, guys, one of the keys here is to not add the eggs until this cools a bit. This is the consistency that you want to see right there. It looks absolutely delicious, and it tastes good because I've been, snacking on it a little more than I probably should. But, hey, what you going to do? We're going to go ahead and mix in our eggs now. This is going to bind everything together nicely. Some people say you don't need to add eggs to your stuffing. I always have. And my stuff is probably better than yours, so you should listen. We're going to go ahead and fold this in, give it a good mix, get it in our casserole dish, and set it aside until we make our seafood dressing. And that's going to go into the oven at the same time. That way we can plate it up nice and pretty, get our thumbnails, and allow you guys to see the final products. So, into the casserole dish we go. I'm glad I had those extra few bites because it fits in there perfectly. One of the other little pro tips I like to give here, or something that I like to do when I make dressing or stuffing, is I like to leave little ridges in there. That way, those little ridges that you make are going to get extra crispy. So take your spatula and kind of just make lines in the stuffing or dressing. I can't help myself. And then go on the other way. Make like a checkerboard pattern. Those little ridges are going to get extra crispy as it bakes. And that's some of the best bites right there, those crispy bites. All right, folks, now it's time for the seafood stuff. And we have 1 stick of butter melting in our skillet. To that, we're going to add the Cajun Trinity, which is, again, bell pepper, onion, and celery. If you want to spice this up, you can add a little jalapeno if you want to. For Thanksgiving, I try not to make anything too spicy because, you got a ton of house guests. Everybody has a different spice tolerance, but hey, you know your people better than I do. We got the veggies in. I'm going to let them sweat down in that butter. Once they get nice and tender, we're going to go ahead and add in the garlic and the seafood. Let that come together. And then it'll be time to start adding in our stuffing mix. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of garlic paste. Get some good garlic flavor up in there. Start to season a little bit, a little AP. My new Cajun blend will be on the market in about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to hit it with a little chicken bouillon as a flavor enhancer. And now it's time to go ahead and get that seafood in there. Starting with our shrimp, we cut the shrimp in half, make it a little bit more bite-sized. Then we got our bay scallops. And we got a card notes worth of crab meat. This is fresh, right from the Chesapeake Bay. Got the crab fat in there and everything. It's gonna add tremendous flavor. All right, now it's time to go ahead and add in our stuffing mix. I'm gonna fold that in. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of the cornbread as well, just to add a hint of sweetness to play off the natural sweetness from the crab and some of the seafood flavors. And then we'll start to add in, we need about 4 cups of that seafood stock that we made. We'll begin to add that in as well. All right, so we have our seafood in there, all of our stuffing mix. We're gonna go ahead and add in 4 cups of this fantastic seafood stock we made homemade. You don't have to make it homemade though. You can grab some chicken broth or use a little water with the lobster base. Kind of get a similar effect there. I'm gonna get that in there, give everything a good mix, make sure things come together nicely. Season to taste as always. Then we're gonna add a beaten egg to kind of hold everything together. Get that in our casserole dish and get that ready for the oven. And this is the part where I say, brace yourself for a trademark money shot. Say it with me, guys, looking good. The only thing left to do is dig in for the taste test, but before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. All right, guys, I got my fork. It's officially time for the moment of truth. I'm going in for the seafood version first. To me, this kind of tastes like a deviled crab if you ever had one. Fantastic, tons of crab meat just falling all out of there. Still moist, still flavorful. The sage, sausage, and cornbread stuffing. That might be a little better. Simple sometimes is best, and it's about $1 million cheaper than the seafood one.